Hi there. Good morning and afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar on 4 Seasons of Reconciliation. Today, Andre Corazon will be covering the professional development and post-secondary usage components of this particular resource. She's going to be doing a presentation for about 15 minutes, and then we'll be turning things over to questions. And I'm going to be turning over things to her right now to do a quick introduction. But in the meantime, it would be very helpful for Andre if you could just, we could just do a quick roll call. If you could just mention, just post in the question pane what library you are from and what your role is at your library. And then that way I can read that out to her and she can get a sense of the audience that she is presenting to today. So if you could do that right now, that'd be great. And I'll just turn things over to Andre. Thank you very much.
Excellent. And so, yeah, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And I know that we'll be recording it as well, so you can share it with your colleagues who may not have been able to join us. And so, Brian, in terms of the roll call, how am I able to see who's on the call? And as well, what's most helpful is what department are you with? You know, you may be with HR, the Indigenous office. So that would be very helpful.
Sure. Would you like me just to read it out to you, or do you can see it in? I think you should be able to see it in the question pane as well if you want of the dashboard. But I can read it out to you if you'd like. People are still posting right now. If you want to just do a quick intro or whatever, while people are posting, I can tell you in a bit, maybe.
Okay, that sounds great. And so I just want to see, are you able to see my screen, Brian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hold on, sorry. We can only see your camera right now.
Okay, so if I do this, are you able to see my screen? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent, excellent. So yes, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I know these are trying times, and I really appreciate that you're calling in and seeing how we can ensure that this resource reaches the students and the learners and the various regions that we're hoping to reach. The purpose of this call is really to talk about the onboarding. So the folks that are on the call with us have already embarked on this journey with us. Your license began this week on April 1st, and I think all of you have already received your course. And so now the purpose of this call is to talk about, you know, how do we ensure together that this resource doesn't sit on a shelf, you know, even in light of COVID-19, and especially because of COVID-19, I really hope that working with you will help ensure that this resource is actually of service right now in this particular time. And so what I want to do is just to give you a very brief overview. I will send along a PDF that kind of outlines a little bit more in detail each phase that I'm going to introduce you to, and then from there, what I would suggest is that each of your organization books a call with us to talk about your own unique onboarding strategy, because each of your organizations are going to have different needs and different methodology for rolling out this course. But I wanted to give a sense, since you're all part of the Canada Consortia and the library team, you know, how do we start to reach out folks? So one of the things that I will be covering today is I want to introduce you to the partner, and you'll see the collaborator as well in this resource, First Nations University of Canada. It's one of the oldest Indigenous education sites in the country. We're here located on Treaty 4 in Regina, Saskatchewan this morning. My home and actually my office is right close by to the university, and my daughter's also a student there. So it's It's an organization that's very close to us. And so I'll be introducing First Nations University briefly, as well as walking with you the 7 phases of onboarding. And then we'll go into the 2 courses. So there's the professional development course and there's the post-secondary class. Started. And Brian, maybe is now a good time to do a roll call, or do you want to wave me when you're ready?
Yeah, no, we can do it. So we have, let's see here, we've got someone from Memorial University of Newfoundland, the head of collection strategies, someone from University of Saskatchewan, electronic resources librarian, the Cambrian College Library, and they will have some colleagues in teaching and learning from Cambrian joining as well. University of Saskatchewan instructional designer, Indigenous Student Services Coordinator at Red Deer College, library staff from Laurier, library staff from Fleming College, Equity and Accessibility Specialist in Human Resources at University of Saskatchewan, Teaching and Learning Center at the University of Saskatchewan, and finally, grad student who is collaborating with the University of Saskatchewan University Library. And yes, several people from the Teaching and Learning Center from University of Saskatchewan.
Okay, and Brian, do we have any folks from British Columbia?
It doesn't look like it, no.
Okay, that's all right. We've been in touch as well, and we do have another call as well on April 23rd. So we'll catch some of those folks. And thank you so much for letting us know, which department you're with in your organization, and thank you to those outside of the library team that are joining us, either from teaching and learning. We really appreciate you being with us. So thank you so much. So we'll continue with our short agenda here, and then we'll open it up for questions. And I think, Brian, maybe you can explain the process of sending along your questions ahead of the Q&A time.
Sure. So if you have any questions for Andre here, just post them into your question pane, which you just use to do your roll call. And I will be reading these questions to Andre, I guess, throughout the presentation once she's done her presentation, or even possibly during the presentation if something pops up.
Thank you, Brian. If something pops up, that's really, feel free to kind of wave me down and answer that question if it's something that's really specific to the moment. But hopefully, for the most part, I can walk you through a short presentation here and then open it up for questions. So as well, I wanted to share with you, and I know for some of the folks from U of S calling in who are probably throughout the province here in Saskatchewan, and most likely in Saskatoon specifically, you'll recognize some familiar faces. But I also wanted to honor the elders, the advisory circle, Kete Ayak circle. Not only have they been walking us through this process and facilitating ceremonies at different phases of the project, but they also embraced in ways we couldn't have anticipated. Following a sweat lodge ceremony, the elders not only assisted on a film, but went ahead and took the plunge to actually write and direct one of the film in the reconciliation series, which is part of the bonus features of both courses. So Winiska, an awakening of Indigenous knowledge, and a Sonomatowin, a sharing of Indigenous knowledge, is envisioned, written and directed by the elders that you see in the photo here. So it's a real honor to be working with them. My name is Andre Casabon. I'm with Productions Casabon. We're a film and multimedia company, and my role is very much a technical and a design role in terms of bringing this content to you. And every different element has been written by, directed by, or envisioned by various Indigenous contributors from across the country. So some of the folks that are calling in from Ontario will recognize some familiar faces from Ontario as well. So I just wanted to here in Regina, here's some of the visuals of the university, and just to as well take the occasion to inform you that the certificates that are part of the professional development course, so the folks who are embarking on the journey of the staff and faculty PD course, it was supposed to get started April 1st, but it's been delayed, of course, with the new reality we're in. But the certificates will actually be signed by First Nations University. So that is coming soon. So you'll see a bit of a transition in terms of the existing certificate we have right now for the completion portion to what it will be coming soon. Okay, so let's get started. I just want to walk you through the 7 phases of onboarding, as well as you know, what some of the successful metrics might be for each of your organization. So what I'm going to do without hurting your eyes too much is I'll just name them off so you can kind of get a sense, and I'll come back to each and then we'll open it up for question. So the first phase is the technical delivery of your course. So hopefully, and please, you know, call us, email us, reach out. If you have not received your course, you should have received it by now. So either our email is in your junk folder or there's a glitch somewhere. So please make sure that you've received your course. So that's the first part. The second part is for the library team to connect us to the various folks in the university. And judging by those of you who are attending this call, I can see that that you're already connected to the various folks. My apologies for the emails coming in. In a moment, I'll turn everything off. And then the third phase is the planning, you know, so how will this resource be used in your college or university? And the rollout and the implementation. And so this is when learners are starting to learn. Usually that might be with a soft launch or a smaller portion of learners. And then there's typically a wider rollout to the organization. And the last phase is successful integration of the resource in your organization and looking at success metrics based on your planning and what your organization was aiming to do with this course. And then, of course, there's the ongoing support, which I'll go over right now. So there's various ways we can help. This is not just a typical delivery of a resource. We're here every step of the way. And so different ways that we can help, we're here to have strategy calls with your organization when you're at the planning phase. We also help, sometimes there are specific faculties that are looking for a bit of a walkthrough in terms of the bonus films and videos and what are some that they could integrate in their program. So sometimes we will assist in those ways. There are the reconciliation film series, the bonus films, and the bonus features. We're also here to provide refresh in the course. We're working on a Métis module right now. We have one for Alberta, and we're working through with Métis content across the country. So, for example, when that module is ready, it just it gets updated. So we'll be in touch with you on how to update those. We're here for technical support. Sometimes your students will call us or email us on Sunday even sometimes. And so we're here to provide technical support, but we really want to work closely with the library as well so that, you know, you're supporting your own organization. And of course, we're here to help you with the reconciliation strategies of your organization and connecting you to other colleges, universities, or sites that have successfully implemented, or you might want to see, we're thinking of making it mandatory. Can you connect us with a college that has done that, or a university, and how was that for them? So we also play a bit of a connection role as well. So once we deliver the resource, we are still here with you if you would like us to be. So let me go back. Kan vi inte spela pass mon telefon? Mon telefon. Merci. So in terms of the technical delivery, I just want to mention that the course is available in to be embedded in your own portal, or your learners can come to our own websites and learning management systems to learn from. So that's one thing I'll say. So that's both for the post-secondary and the PD. So for example, if you have an LMS, Moodle, Friday, Workday, there's so many out there, we're able to send you a file that you can drop into your own internal learning environment. So if you are not aware of that, I just want to point that out, and we don't mind sending you again a new course you wanted and not the course you got. So if we've delivered to you a course in a format and you wish it was in a different way, feel free to reach out. We can make it work. There should be a logo, your own LAN acknowledgement as well. And so those are some of the ways that we customize your course. So I'll move past technical delivery because by now everybody's received their course, and if you've had a glitch with it, it's an individual case, and so please, feel free to reach out to us. So the critical thing that I'm hoping that we can reach this April is if the library team could connect us to the various departments in your organization that you feel would be a fit for this initiative. So for example, we work with the Indigenization Office and we have a chat with them and see what their reconciliation initiatives are, what their strategic plans are, and we help them to make connections and show them the different ways that our course might be of help to them. If you have the professional development course, it's really important to connect us to the folks at HR, so your human resources department. And really every organization is autonomous in how you use this resource. It's meant to meet your needs. If you just want it at the library and you want to leave it at that, that's okay with us. It's up to you what works best. But for us, it's about who's going to be our point of contact, though, at your organization. So if there's a technical difficulty, if we hear some specific feedback from your learners, who do we reach out to at the college or university? And so, perhaps there's human resources and the library team and the Indigenization Office that work closely together, and each might play a different role. But certainly there's with technology, there's always tech glitches. People lose their password, they forget the link where they go to find this course again, or they have a class tomorrow or next week and they're wondering if, is this a fit for my engineer class, or do you have any content for engineer students? So we field and answer many of these questions, but we like to be able to, of course, liaise back with your organization so you're not in the dark on what's happening with the resource. So that's really important to us. And so, who will we be working with in your organization? And so I'll send along, we keep track of all of the Canada Consortia, and of course I want to take a moment to extend my gratitude to Canada Consortia for turning this into such a successful initiative. It's absolutely wonderful that throughout this phase we've reached so many of you, and we're really grateful to Canada Consortia. So we're glad to know that we can continue to to support you through these webinars that they're hosting. So I appreciate that very much. The other phase is the planning phase. So how will this resource be used? And sometimes people will turn to us to ask us, well, you know, do you have some insight? Can you help us with this? And we certainly can. And usually what we'll do is we'll have a call with you and share some stories from across the country on different ways that it's been used, some really innovative ways that that folks have used the course. So we can share those stories, or if you already have a reconciliation plan or a specific initiative already in your college and you purchase this because it fits into that, we can certainly have a call to see how the resource can best be used to help you reach your initiative. We've had colleges and universities that have made this a mandatory resource, others who have found different campaigns. You can have a friendly competition between schools or departments on who gets the most percentage of certificates if you're purchasing the PD. So there's lots of ways that you know, that we can help you with this. Then what usually happens next is the rollout and implementation. So how will your learners know that this course is accessible? So if we're talking about the post-secondary course, you know, the rollout and implementation might be sometimes it's, you know, and coming back to here, sometimes part of the rollout is to have a soft launch with maybe 1 or 2 faculties, get feedback, receive testimonies from faculty and students, and then use that success to kind of have a wider launch. For human resources, it might be about just having all of your executives take the course and then sharing it with the rest of the organization. And so again, that's something we can help you with, but it's helpful for us to kind of have a sense of what that is, because then we'll know that there might be a higher volume of technical questions. And rural implementation might mean that since it is in your own learning portal, you know, folks receive an email internally and voila, that's the rollout and implementation. So it doesn't have to be complex or complicated. It's there to meet your needs, but that's typically what happens. And there's usually a date like, oh, we're launching May 1st. And so that's, you know, that's something to keep in mind. And then sometimes there's a bit of a softer pilot, you know, does it work? Is everything okay? Are the certificates linking? You know, so that's something that you might want to anticipate. You know, is that working well? Is your system, you know, hopefully not blocking access to Vimeo, for example, where the videos are? So that's why sometimes to have a handful of 2 folks that are testing it out as if they were a student or as if they were a faculty member. Then you can catch any glitches. We can certainly adapt, and when you're ready for your wider launch, you know, the tech bugs have been worked through if there are any. And then that wider rollout is now we're starting to move into, you know, the integration of the course in your learners. You know, phase 7, so successful integration and success metrics. So again, you might, through your own plans, have a different definition of what is successful. So for example, this morning, I was chatting with Confederation College in Thunder Bay in Ontario, and we were strategizing together how best to adapt to the virus for the college, and just checking in and making sure, you know, all is well. So our point of contact is human resources, and their president had launched last May that all of their staff and employees and faculty would be taking this course. And, you know, this morning she was sharing that even in spite of coronavirus, there are 9 employees left to complete the course for them to have 100% success, right? And so for them, their metric of success was all staff. They were going for 100%. That's one way. There are other organizations that, in the first term, they want 20% of their employees or their faculties to take the course, and they're just offering it generally. And so through the data that's embedded in the course, we're able to communicate back with our point of contact and see, are they meeting their goal? Does it help? Can we help? Sometimes we'll design newsletters or formulate with them a bit of a call out. We'll share some of our high resolution photos or video clips. We also have some trailers of the course that you can share to kind of pique their interest and say, here's a trailer of the course, or here's the trailer to the film series. So it gives them some media that entices them to take the course. So based on what your plans were, at the beginning, we're able to assist you reach that successful assessment, where we're at. So that's, the basic phases, and I did share with you that we're here for ongoing support. I'm mindful of the time. We're at about halfway point. I just want to share with you a couple of components to the course. Brian, everything's okay still from your end? We're good. We're on track.
Yep, no, everything's great. No questions quite yet, but I'll let you know if any pop up.
Excellent, excellent. So I do want to share this page with all of you. So whether you have the PD course or the workplace course or the classroom course, you'll each have somewhat the same content, but this is the bonus section. And this is probably the page that's going to change the most, because this is where we very easily implement new learning or new content in here. Because we're not going to change your course per se, but we're going to add to the additional learning. So you can come in here and watch the film. So for the professional development course, economic reconciliation is part of module 1, but these films are not. So these are courses or films that you can use, and in the bonus learning portion of the classroom course, so we have various clips in here. So for example, Senator Murray Sinclair, who participated in the economic reconciliation film, was generous to share, two was specifically speaking to faculty of business and law students. And so he provides an address specifically to students around economic reconciliation and the role of the TRC. So these are, these are short clips. All you have to do is click on there. Some of these are 5 minutes. For the folks at Memorial, Senator Francis, who was Chief Francis of Abequate First Nation in Prince Edward Island, would probably be one of the closest clips to your territory, Newfoundland. And so we've divided the learning right now, just by region. We're hoping to create these thematics, so health or and we would go and extract some of these. But now your bonus is organized in regions, and you can see some of these are very short, so they're easy to integrate in the classroom, or they're easy to watch. I would highly recommend watching the teaching reconciliation. That's also embedded in the post-secondary course, and it's already dropped in for the faculty team that's going to be sharing the online. Charlene Bearhead was the education lead during the Truth and Reconciliation's 7-year journey. So Charlene shares, you know, what is it like to be teaching reconciliation, and so that's a really good preparation and primer. We have content in Saskatchewan. You know, some of these are teachings from elders. Some of these videos, like for example, 500 Years with Saul Sanderson, who, you know, shout out to the U of S team. You know, he lives in Saskatoon. He literally walks us through 500 years of history in 9 or 12 minutes. And, you know, that's actually embedded in both courses, but we also will bring it back here in case folks want to see it again. Some of this content is at the Museum of History during a 10-month exhibition. And it's, so Saul is playing 10 times a day at the Museum of History along with some of the elders. And so these are the bonus features as well from the outtakes, not because they were not relevant, they were incredibly relevant, but we had to take all these wonderful and make a short 25-minute film. So, you know, you can learn from Dr. Willie Ermine, for example, who's an elder from First Nations University and Sturgeon Lake, Saskatchewan, and you can see the extended version, for example. These are students sharing their views about reclaiming their culture during a land-based camp in the summer. So if there was a particular person that you were interested in the film, you can come back here and watch their extended features. So I'm just showing you some of the bonus content that fits into the learning here. We have a, you know, again, this might be of interest to Memorial. It's a land acknowledgement by one of the elders in that territory, you know, would be the closest to you, and that might be a nice introduction as well to the folks. And then as well, the resources available in French for the classroom and for the professional development. So that was the bonus features. And now I just want to show you visually so your PD course, if you have requested a file to be dropped into your learning portal, your logo would be here, for example, and this would be how your course, you know, would be seen, right? And as well, I want to mention, if you have one course but you wish you had the other as well, you can still order the courses through Canada Consortia. It just gets prorated to the calendar date that you're ordering. So I just wanted to answer that question because sometimes I get that by email.
Hey, Andre.
And so you can see. Yes?
Andre, I just have a couple questions here from Allison at I believe it was Newfoundland, head of collection strategies there. So her question is mostly, here, I'll just read it verbatim. My questions are mostly practical / technical. I suspect I will need to work with our distance learning gurus to finish it out, but perhaps you can describe the process to us. I've never worked with the SCORM packages before. I see we have received 2 of them, instructor and student portals. I assume these are somehow loaded into the LMS and then modules become available to anyone developing an online course at our institution. Or is the course only available as an independent entity within the LMS? And then she sort of had a short follow-up, and she wanted to know, is it possible to make the bonus content available outside of the course, for example, with the links to them in our library catalog? I'm sorry, is Memorial University of Newfoundland. My apologies.
Yeah. So absolutely. So let me walk you through that. So you would have received a SCORM package. Now that's in world of HR or human resources, and in the world of those that are managing your LMS platform, your learning platforms for your university, this is lingo they're used to on a daily basis. It was a learning curve for me as well. Basically, a SCORM package is a file that we're able to email you, and it translates to your learning management system. So it just gets dropped into, and voila, it appears like this as I'm showing you. So it's a way to send a course in an effective way, where once I know, the version that we need to save the file in, and then that version, whether it's 2.1, 2004, they have all kinds of different versions of a SCORM package. If we know the right version, then we're able to send you something that gets integrated into your learning management system. And so the file we send you, when it appears, it looks just as I am scrolling here, right? And so that is something that is traditional in terms of the learning of employees in a learn management system. So I can certainly, be happy to chat with you and walk you through that a little bit more. But the takeaway is that if you provide us with the proper version of the SCORM package, then we send that to you, and it just magically somehow gets dropped in by your IT team. Once it's there, your other question about, what are some of the links that you can share within the resource, we can certainly help you. For example, maybe it's about designing a PDF that would appear visually in your resource that would showcase a little bit of the course visually, and then the link would take them directly to their own internal portal if you have the SCORM package. And because it's such a heavy file, we're talking about, you could probably learn 23 hours of film and video on our course, not to mention all the ongoing videos that we drop into the bonus learning section. So that would be a very heavy file. Most of our production, our background is a film company, so it's in 4K video, high resolution. So that becomes a little tricky to host it at the library resource. However, we're here to adapt to your needs. So maybe if we have a call and we go over it, I can see what are some of the ways that we can help you with that. For those of you who don't have your own learning management system, I want to show you what the course looks like here. So you were sent this link, for example, to sample the course. And so we built a Canada Consortia temporary kind of course for the evaluation process. So this is our own learning management system. So you can see that it's visually slightly different than perhaps this SCORM package that would have been dropped into your learning course. So those of you who don't have that, we can host your course on our own learning management system, and it looks like this. And then we provide you with reports on the usage data and so on. And so, if we compare here, we're showing module 3. And so you can see it's just loading up now, but it's pretty similar to the other portal. So it's just about capacity if you're able to do that. And I just want to show, this is the student portal, for example. And so this, by the way, is very isolation friendly as well. Some of you might be looking for content to share with student or faculty. So for example, you can see this is all their video library here.
Hi, Andre. Sorry, I just have a couple of follow-up questions here. This is from Allison again. So she says, we would not wish to host the videos here, but just provide alternate access points other than from within the LMS. Many of our faculty use video material in their academic courses, and I think some of this content might be valuable for that purpose too. And then just another question that kind of went by, just a quick one is, if we need to change the logo, can we do that on our end?
Yes, you can. With your tech team, they're able to, and if not, it's very easy. You know, we can assist by sending you a new version with the new logo. So that's easy. And Allison, you can see here's the instructor portal, for example. This is what you could share as an external. So I can walk you through that. So for example, you could have a link to, you know, either this page or just the bonus videos that I showed you. This is the post-secondary course that I'm walking you through right now. So the instructor had 3 hours that they do online here with some of the films, some of the power, 2 possible versions for Third World Canada, the full version or the shorter version. And then hour 2 and 3, these are some of the content as well that they would share with the students. I'm sorry, I'm going through this a little fast. I don't know if that's helpful, but as you can see from the instructor, everything is laid out for them. Like for example, they're able to download the PowerPoints and save it on their computer so that they can teach that, you know, in the classroom. And it just walks them through step by step. You know, the third step is sharing the access to the students. You know, here's the link, here's the password. And this also takes them to the student portal for the faculty to see. And then there's also another section here on professional development, on accessing, you know, additional videos that they might want to share in the classroom. You know, some of the further learning. So that's, you know, that would be an example of something we could share with you that you could point to and have within the library resource, Allison. And I do want to take, do folks want to see the trailer to the film series? Like, I know I keep going over video footage. It's really hard for a filmmaker to not stop and watch or show films and videos. I'm trying my best to be mindful of time, but maybe in terms of the question back to the folks, is there, do you want to see the trailer to the course, for example, here that gives you a 4-minute overview of the course and the principles behind it? Or are there other things you would like me to focus on? I can also show you the trailer to the 4 films. Would that be something that would be of interest to folks?
Yeah, we have one person saying they'd like to see it. Just to sort of keep in mind, there will be, you know, because it's coming over like this share screen, it's not, the quality won't be great, but I think the people watching will be able to see, get the general idea of what the video is trying to convey.
Okay, so Brian, for example, this video, and I'll show it in full screen, and I know that there'll be a bit of a lag for folks, is 4 minutes, and the trailer to the film is also 4 minutes. So would that be okay with our time together? And I hope that you know that you can all reach us by email. I'll just share our website. Apologies for my emails here, but if you go to reconciliationeducation.ca, that's our main point of contact, and you just go to contact here, and you send us a little note through reconciliationeducation.ca. You can reach us directly, and we've also emailed you some information. But I know there's some folks that are coming into this webinar and they're not necessarily part of the library team. So as long as you remember reconciliationeducation.ca and you click on contact us here, you'll be able to reach us right away and we can have a call. Particularly some of the folks that were part of the instructional design team, they might have some very specific questions for me, and I'd love to connect with the team at U of S on that as well. So without further ado, let me just, sorry guys.
Why don't, Andre, why don't we just do the trailer, which you said would be about 5 minutes, and that'll leave about 9 minutes for the, just for questions.
Okay. You bet.
Okay, great. And I've got a few questions to ask after the trailer, please.
Hi, I'm Julia, and just like you, I'm a student. In this unit, we are going to embark on a journey towards truth and reconciliation and explore the past, present, and future relationship between First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and Canada.
4 Seasons of Reconciliation is essentially a reflection of what we do here at the university. Reconciliation has said, education got us here, education will get us out of.
And here's the lags. Hang on.
Reflection of what we do here at the university. Reconciliation has said that, well, education got us here, education will get us out of here. So to all those students that are out there and looking as to how to improve their perspectives of how they move forward and support reconciliation, this is an opportunity for them to begin that learning journey and strengthen Canadian society as a whole.
A large part of our advisory circle is made up of First Nations University, one of the oldest Indigenous post-secondary institutions in Canada. This unit will focus on bringing forward the truth of Canada's history and help illuminate a pathway towards establishing a respectful nation-to-nation relationship. Welcome to 4 Seasons of Reconciliation. Four Seasons explores the rich and vibrant cultures of Indigenous peoples, as well as treaties, colonialism, residential schools, restitution, and the 94 calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The two-row wampum belt was the first treaty established between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people after contact. The two-row treaty is the very foundation that unifies and guides every element of the 4 Seasons of Reconciliation unit. The wampum agreement, symbolized by two parallel running vessels, solidifies a peaceful, respectful, sharing-based coexistence. The two vessels travel side by side without interfering with each other's ways of life.
These belts are a reminder of the promises and reminder of the relationship that once existed between.
Sorry, folks, it is lagging. Brian, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Why don't here? I'll tell you what. Why don't I'm going to be sending out like an email with a link to the video to all the people who attended today,
Yeah,
and
that
I'll tell you what. I'll include a link to the trailer as well.
absolutely.
So here, I've got
Let's do that.
okay. So I've got a couple questions here. Someone was asking, will the next webinar cover the same content as this one? And should we attend both or just one?
That's an excellent question. I'm not sure. I think if folks had some, if those of you on this call could provide us with feedback on what would be helpful in terms of an agenda for a second call, we can always schedule another call for those who are on this particular webinar to take us to the next level. You know, so if you had some suggestions on a webinar that would be helpful. Otherwise, the way that it was structured is the folks that are going to be joining us on the next webinar would be participants that have not seen the content that you saw today. But certainly building another webinar to take you further along. So for example, maybe one on strategies of implementation and how do we best implement this during specifically the coronavirus. You know, we could certainly cover another webinar on that. So if you have some suggestions for us, but otherwise, those of you who are on this webinar do not need to be on the upcoming one.
And the next question is, will the recording be shared with the participants? And yes, I will be sending out an email with a link to the recording. I'll probably post this to our YouTube channel where you can watch it there as well. But we'll be following up with everybody just to sort of send you that link. And that's actually it for our questions. We have a bit of time left, so if anybody has any additional questions, now would be the time to post them. Otherwise, Andre, did you have any other thoughts or anything you want to share with us?
Well, I just wanted to maybe bring us, and thank you, Brian, for hosting us and sharing these links. I think that would be helpful is, and I'm just trying to come back to my PowerPoint here if I can ever find it, would be to think about providing us with the information in terms of, you know, the next phase, right? So so to be able to know, I have a bit of a database of each of you, and I would love to see, other than the library team, are there other people from your college or university that we should be introduced to or mindful of? I think that would be really great if you can share that with us. You don't have to. We're more than happy to just work with the library team. But if you think that it would be good to bring in some of the other departments as well.
Okay. We have a few questions here.
Oh,
sorry, Andre. Sorry, you cut out for a second.
Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, anyway, sorry, the question is, can the 3 hours of content easily be adapted for remote learning? And then with the second question is, with respect to the post-secondary modules, approximately how long is the recommended completion rate, and is it all self-study?
Can you repeat the same question, Brian? The number one, I cut off.
Oh, sure. So the first question was, can the 3 hours of content easily be adapted for remote learning?
So tell me if I got this right. Does the 3-hour course adapt to remote learning?
Yeah. Sorry, 3 hours
excellent.
of 2F
so
content.
Yeah, so if you have, so if you have the professional development course for staff and team, it is a remote modular course. So you take it at your own pace. You travel through the 10 modules at your own pace. You can stop the course, come back, return to it at a later time. And when you complete the course, you receive a certificate of completion. So that one is entirely adaptable to remote learning. So so I think it's very much in demand right now with our situation. We're getting different organizations that want the course specifically for that reason. The post-secondary course, with the help of perhaps your learning team or your like I hear some instructional designers here on the call. I think we would need to lean on some folks of, and it wouldn't take long, but how do we adapt it for remote learning? Because the concept is that it's 5 hours, 3 hours in the classroom and 2 hours remote. But as you saw through the walkthrough, you know, the elements in terms of a film and a PowerPoint and all of that could very well be adapted for remote learners. So the students would almost have no instructors in that particular situation, and they would be learning completely on their own. So, you know, if there were some folks who wanted to volunteer and give us a little bit of guidance, that would be great. We can also turn to our team at First Nations University, but they're still teaching and in the classroom and swamped right now. So there's a bit of a, you know, it just depends if we can get a little bit of help in terms of making sure that it's fitting for students, because it would be a new journey for us. But certainly the one for the adult learners, for the workplace, is already adapted completely from start to finish for remote learning.
Sorry, and then
Right.
yeah, sorry about that. I accidentally hit the camera button when I was trying to hit the mic button. So sorry, yeah, Nazreen was trying to say face-to-face content. So the student course involves 3 hours of face-to-face and 2 hours online, and since all faculty are teaching remotely now, they will not be able to offer it face-to-face. So my apologies for not understanding that acronym.
Okay, yeah, and I mean the face-to-face section, by the way, is like, you know, the instructor preparing to show a film. So a film can be shown remotely. So yes, it can certainly be adapted as well. Do you have other questions, Brian, or?
No, that's it for questions. So unless you have anything else you want to share, we could probably just end this webinar, and I'll make sure to follow up with everybody and send the link to the video as well as the link to the trailers we were trying to share as well.
Okay, I'll send you that email right now, Brian, for the 2 trailers. And I look forward to hearing from you and assisting each of you individually and in terms of your next steps with the rollout. So I hope this was helpful. And thank you so much to Canada Consortia for hosting this. And I wish everyone a safe and healthy weekend.
Okay, take care, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre, very much. Have a lovely weekend, everybody.
Thank you.